What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi, alongside the broader market, did have a very nice recovery, up 2.84%, 1373 the low, 1454 the high. And one thing that really drove the optimism today was PCE. So the market was kind of holding its breath leading up to like 7:30, and then that's what caused the spike right here. And so PCE on a month over month basis came in better than anticipated, so 0.3 versus a 0.4 forecast, and year over year was flat at 2.5. So this got the market's mind off of what's been happening the last several trading days. So the market kind of reset itself. So that's kind of a good thing. As well, you did have some optimism about the whole US and Ukraine minerals deal, even though it didn't really go according to plan. You see a lot of posts that I guess how Zelensky got kicked out. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not, but it's kind of comical if you ask me, but what do I know, right? But nonetheless, though, going back over to PCE, definitely that was one of the biggest driving factors that moved the market higher. No news associated to SoFi today, no SEC filings, so it was kind of just piggybacking off of the broader market. Shorts did have other plans though, so shorts did increase 804,000 shares. So for those of you that watch my channel like every day, you'd know that they've been increasing like max like 200,000. So they definitely were a little bit more active today. So 804,000 shares. 12.46% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be at 134.29 million shares overall are being shorted. And ultimately, you see cost to borrow minimum very low, so negative 0.22. So that broker once again is back at it as per usual. Looking at the options, kind of low dollar value today, but 10 million in calls, 6.49 in puts. 50% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. So it's kind of comical on the extreme volatility. I'm sure a lot of people did sell out yesterday, but as per usual, the market is all over the place. So one day it looks like the market and the world is ending, and then the other day it just seems to be status quo. It's kind of crazy. But as far as the volume, today was rather low. We're not getting the 30 millions as what we were. So today was 16.5, yesterday 16.4, day prior 18.8, and then back at that 30s. So I think big money is clearly just taking some time off. As far as the options being done today, there is a very strong consensus for it to be above that 1650, 17-ish going into next week. A lot of big data, jobs data, and so forth. Bears, flip side, are anticipating a full-on breakdown for it to be sub 1150, and maybe that's associated to tariffs possibly. That's going to be kicking off next week on the 4th. But with today being Friday, this is the current open interest. So with it closing just below that 1450, that does mean that the 10,000 and above, so 1450 strike price and above, all expires worthless. You do have the 6,000 at that 14, 1,000 at that 1350 in the money, but that's not really going to cause any substantial spikes at all today, or at least going into next week. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you had one first thing, so 3.9 million. 18.7, 1.2, so rather low ultimately, but some pretty good transactions regardless. Secondary or dark pool, you did have some transactions, so 2.9 was just done roughly about 10 minutes ago. Aside from that, you had one as well that was right before the market closed at 1.9 million, 3.3. Dark pool is often enough linked to shorting and other large entities, but most likely you should be seeing institutions starting to rebalance in the next 2 weeks as the end of Q1 does near, and then hopefully you'll see a lot of institutions start to buy up SoFi, because SoFi is somewhat lagged the broader market and a lot of other growth stocks. So I think a lot of institutions should be buying it logically. Aside from that though, with it closing at 1447, it did close within this pivot in this S1. So 1409 is going to be going into next week, the next strong support, and then 1593 going to be the next strong target / resistance. On the chart, this 100-day moving average has been the saving grace, which is rather odd because the 50-day moving average in SoFi's history has been that big key pivot. But lately, the 100-day moving average was what saved SoFi from really breaking. So it was tested on the 24th, 25th, as well as the 27th, and as well as today. So a lot of volatility, but like I said, that's been kind of the saving grace for SoFi. So that is at $14.48. So going forward, just watch for that. And then that 50-day moving average is at $15.55. SoFi right now is considered very oversold. You can see that based on the stochastic RSI. So again, going into next week, it's pretty much a free for all. It could really move higher or it could really break lower. We have a lot of big data, so it should be a fun time, but that seems to be what the market is right now, just extreme volatility. So average down if need be. If it does get back to the 13s or whatever else, then that's probably where I'll be a buyer. I did buy in that 1408 or whatever it was, only the 50 shares. It wasn't anything crazy. It was in my new portfolio, but yeah, I'm probably going to be buying a little bit more once I get to that $13 range. At least get myself 100 shares in that portfolio. Then that way I can start doing some options with it. So let me know your general thoughts on SoFi. What was your thoughts on the whole Ukraine states kind of debacle that did happen? What's your thoughts on PCE? Just to play devil's advocate, because obviously that's what I do. I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I do feel over this weekend, a lot of people and analysts will pay attention to this. And obviously tariffs, because there's been a lot of signals of fear about inflation really going higher. That is future fear. This PCE is old data, so as of January. So it is old data. So it's kind of one of those weird things. The market seemed very satisfied based on old data, but is somewhat fearful about future data. So I feel like the fear could definitely come back very soon, but definitely next week should be a fun time. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everyone has an amazing weekend ahead of them. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.